Welcome back to Live from Springfield, USA. This is the newest edition of our content. Really excited about this podcast. We've put a lot of work into it. We got Ted Dryden on the team behind the camera here. Ted, take your wide shot so people can see the back of your head. There you are. I want to introduce you to the newest Springfield, USA family member, Kari Johnston. She's amazing. If you're in Springfield, you've probably seen her out and about doing great things through one of her business ventures, or through her philanthropy, or through her service to the school system, through her son. So, Kari, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I love to be here.
Yeah, we met about 6 months ago, which is crazy because we should have met years ago.
For sure.
We have all the same friends, and I think you were out grinding, I was out grinding, and
every single time I said I just met Chad Wilson, people would say, "You haven't met Chad Wilson before?" I'm like, no, somehow I haven't met Chad Wilson.
It's not that big of a deal, but I was glad we met.
Yes,
and we're getting to use our strengths together, and you can help me hide my weaknesses. So and stay organized and stay moving forward. But really excited about this. So. I want to talk a little bit about the history of this channel and kind of the iterations of how we got to where we're at today, if you care to know. I would say about 6-7 years ago, I was here. I was working in a faith-based community there. I was working for Fellowship Church. And my brother was the prosecutor here, and I had another brother that was working in the emergency room, and we were getting to see a lot of trauma firsthand on different levels. My brother at different variations of what he did as his job as a prosecutor. And Travis in the ER, being able to help people heal, and a lot of times I was interfacing through the church with families that were affected by some of the things that weren't awesome. So we spent a lot of time, I personally spent a lot of time kind of complaining and blaming other people. And I thought, well, this is my time. I can either complain all through my 30s or we can try to do something. And so there was some great guys running around town that were doing some really positive things, young guys with cameras. I got hooked up with them through my brother Andy, and we just started dreaming out what this could be. And we started making really fun videos around town, and it was just kind of the right time. And these videos were getting shared all over the world through Facebook. And you can go into our archives and see some of those. But we were just being silly. We had iPhones. Sometimes we'd do things that I wouldn't do at my age now, just running around in the back of trucks, helping distribute food on Clark County Service Day and things like that. And just really trying to show the good that's really here. And all the people that are making a positive difference, all the creative people, all the people that want this community to be better and going into the future. So that was a really good run. And we were doing a podcast at first, and we started going out in the field. The first time we went out in the field was with Dan from the Young's Jersey Dairy, and we did a little golfing thing with him. And that particular episode got so many more views because people wanted to see us out in the community. So we just started doing it. We started trying to highlight as many positive things we could, and it really took off. And we built a channel from nothing to almost 10,000 followers. And mostly positive comments. I mean, people were just so hungry for positivity. The news has a way of showing the negative, coming in and showing the growth areas or the traumas and monetizing that. And I thought, well, as a producer, I could do some good with my guys. And so a lot of those guys have gone on to do bigger and better things in different cities, and so Springfield, USA kind of sat stagnant for a minute. And as I moved into the studio here and have a passion for music, I thought, well, maybe we'll do a live music show because I love Tiny Desk and Live at Daryl's House. And so we tried to do a live music show with a live audience. And I got 3 episodes shot. But I quickly realized I was way over my skis on organizational management and what it really costs to get those done. And I just kind of ran out of gas on it. And I felt so bad because like we did an awesome episode still to be released. I released a little bit of it with Daniel Dye. We did an episode with rappers on Juneteenth with Dorian Hunter when they were rained out of the garage. And then the first episode was with the American landscape. And just a ton of work, a ton of energy. Everybody loved it. But I was also like, man, I can't do this by myself. And so for the last year or so, it's just been kind of something I've been wanting to get back to. And you encouraged me. When we became friends, you were like, dude, now's the time.
Yes. Now's
the time.
Yeah. I mean, we all saw the entire world's eyes turn toward Springfield, Ohio. And here was this channel. Everybody here was desperate to tell the stories of all the wonderful things going on here to sort of counteract the messaging that was out there. And the whole world was looking at Springfield saying, what's going on there? And I was like, we have got to tell our stories.
The time is now. The time is now. Because there's so many people. There's so many people around town that are here to start businesses, to help those on the margins, to bring in new industry that are just amazing people.
Yes.
And we did not get shown in a good light during that. The YouTubers swooped in and they found people in traumatized situations. They exploited them. They pushed them in directions that didn't make us look good, and it kind of showed some generational pain that we're not going to put our heads in the sand about. We have a lot of work to do, and there's a lot of people that we're going to bring on this show that are talking about that good work. But at the end of the day, it's time to start telling good stories again. I really believe that Springfield, Ohio is going to be a place that you're not going to be able to buy land soon. You're not going to be able to buy property soon because I believe there's a Midwest migration coming. If you look at what's happening on the coastal cities with the price of living, the lack of water out west, we're sitting on the second largest aquifer in the world right here. Runs all the way from Lake Erie all the way down to somewhere in West Virginia, I believe. That aquifer actually runs under our Heritage Center. And I've been in the basement with John Landis, and you can hear the stream running under.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, it's Springfield, right? And there's springs all over, getting to the history of, there was old breweries at the turn of the century. We had one of the most popular breweries because the water was so good here. And I really believe the water source and the natural resources that we have here is going to be part of that story. And as Columbus grows out in concentric rings and Dayton grows out with the aerospace and everything that's coming in that sector, our chamber and our city have done a good job at setting up corridors so we can bring in higher paying jobs. And of course, there's entry level jobs that support those industries as well. And I do believe that we are on the cusp of great things. And so when everything happened, a few months ago, I was mourning it. I was really mourning it. And that's around the same time we became friends.
Yep.
And I just walked around the square and I was talking to all the news agencies, and it was just a weird time. It was a weird time, and I was saddened that my friends that have put their life savings into the Door District to open up the State Theater, to open up the brewery, to open up the Cohatch, and all these cool things that are happening. All these small businesses like your own, we'll talk about on Fountain, that just took an immediate hit just for the business side of it. I was sad for our friends from Haiti. I was sad for the people here that felt displaced, and it's so that whole topic I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know how to handle it, and I didn't handle it well, to be honest. I didn't use my voice as well as I could have because I didn't know what to say. And I think I'm still there a little bit.
Well, and one of the things that I saw was so many people coming into Springfield to tell the story of Springfield.
Right.
And as two people who we realized we both grew up here, we, in our initial conversations, talked about how we would like to tell the story of our town. People that came into the city to tell our stories, some of them, their hearts were in the right place. Others were just looking under all the rocks, trying to find all the maggots. And from growing up here and spending decades now here, 4+ decades here, we've both met so many incredible people doing so many incredible things throughout that time. And I felt a desperation to be the voice of our community because so many people who weren't from here were trying to voice that.
So you became kind of TikTok famous during that time.
Yes,
for better or worse, right?
We're going to be talking about me in the next episode.
Oh,
but
no,
yes,
we got to at least give a little bit of that.
Yes, yeah, that definitely happened.
So you started doing videos in your car just talking about what the truth was on the ground?
Yeah, I mean, I've always enjoyed doing videos. I'm on my second retail store. As Chad mentioned, I've done a lot of things. And I've always enjoyed talking about it on video. That's just, I think it connects well. I love face-to-face conversations with people, and this is a parasocial way to do that, but it's the second best thing.
It's hard to do anything on social media in the last 5 to 7 years where it doesn't immediately bring half praise and half hate.
Yes.
How did you handle that?
Yeah, so I most of the time when I'm yapping on video, nobody's paying attention. So I had turned on my camera and had a few thoughts that I didn't think anyone would pay attention to. And then 1.7 million TikTok views later, and someone random that I did not know at all who downloaded my video and reposted it to her Instagram. And that started getting shared in circles of people I knew very well. That was a lot. That was a lot to handle, especially because, again, I was like, I'd been crying. Like I looked a mess. Like I just had... Yeah, I was talking real from my heart. And I got a lot of kickback from it. But at the end of the day, my point was that this world is full of humans and we need to remember our humanity. And what I was seeing happen on the news, and then therefore, I mean, people, we all experienced this. If you were in Springfield during that time, I think all of our phones blew up with people asking, what is really happening? What's really happening? What's really happening? Is all this true? What's happening? And other people were trying to tell the story in a way that was not correct. And so I felt the need to correct a few facts. And I also felt the need to just remind everyone of our humanity. And that's one of the things that I really loved about what you were doing here with this channel, was that you were showing the people, like Humans of New York. I don't know if you followed that.
I haven't seen it.
Humans of New York is another one of those social media sensations that humanizes the people sitting around New York and telling all kinds of crazy stories of their lives. And that, I was feeling like the humanity of my community was getting lost. I feel like I was feeling like we were all being reduced to political talking points. And that was really frustrating for me. So I was really excited to meet you and to realize that you had an avenue already established with a captive audience of people who already love Springfield, who had been celebrating Springfield for 7-8 years. And we had the eyes of the world on us, and I was ready for us to tell our stories.
That's amazing. I'm excited. I'm excited about the future of this storytelling again, and I'm excited about you being on the team. A lot of the interviews we're going to do, you're going to be interviewing people by yourself. I won't be on them. I think we are going to be reaching out to our audience to say, who do we need to be talking to? And the trick is, with anything we talk about, we don't want to be Pollyannish. Right. We don't want to act like everything's good for us, when maybe half of our city is hurting, or there's a lot of people in our city that are hurting. And so, but we also kind of want to go between the raindrops of all the political nightmares of trying to come up with our own solutions and saying this is definitely right, and definitely dehumanizing anybody will not be a part of this. Right. So if the comments start going that way, those folks are going to get blocked. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, when you start hearing somebody use language of name calling or comparing a person to an animal or to an object or to a trait, and saying they are this, that to me is a pretty big red flag that person has been taught to dehumanize, and they're probably dealing with a lot of their own fear. And they've been taught that by somebody, but this is not the channel for that.
Yep.
So I'm excited that we're going to try to navigate that.
We welcome your comments, but our focus is on pushing good.
Yes.
And we're not so focused on pushing good that we're ignoring that we have challenges just like every other community. That's one of the things that I've said ad nauseum when people say, what's going on in Springfield? And I'm like, we're a city. And cities have challenges, and cities are full of humans, and humans have challenges. So we're very cognizant of that. So we're definitely not, militantly saying only positive comments, but we want to be respectful. We want to have dialogue. We want to celebrate each other.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited about the future.
Yeah. So I want to hear more about you, and I want our audience to hear more about you. So we we mentioned that we'd both grown up in Springfield. Mm-hmm. Will you tell me more about what your experience was growing up in Springfield?
Yeah. So I think it's important to at least tell this story of because it's my life has changed a lot in the last 5 years, and my perspectives have changed a lot over the last probably 15 years. So my parents were high school sweethearts. They're disgusting. They love each other so much. And they're together all the time. Not disgusting. It's beautiful.
That's adorable.
It is adorable. They've been best friends since they were 16, probably, and got married right out of high school, like you did back in the day. My grandfather ran a Chrysler dealership here in town, and then ran Bill Marine Honda for about 40 years. And he had 5 daughters, and so he was probably less than excited that his daughter was getting married at the age of 18 right out of school. But that's part of their journey,
Where's your mom in those 5 daughters?
She's the oldest.
She's the oldest? Okay.
Yeah. So she's or I should say the firstborn. Sorry, Mom. You're the firstborn, not the oldest. But anyway, they just fell in love. They joined the military right away. They barely made it. With
what branch of the military?
Finances. My dad was in the Army. He joined the Army. Both my older brothers were born at Fort Knox, Kentucky, where he was stationed in the Armory or in the Cav down there. He was a mechanic, a tank mechanic. And then they were sent to Germany for a 2.5, 3 year stint in Germany, where I was born in Stuttgart, Germany, on base at an Air Force base there.
I didn't know this. This is exciting.
Well, I didn't know what Stuttgart meant, but it's Garden of Horses. Okay. So that's where I think is it Ferrari or Porsche? Ferrari? Dad, do you know?
It has the horses, I think.
The horses? Ferrari. I don't know. I don't drive one. I drive a Honda. So there you go. So we had a foreign exchange student from Germany, and he was telling me all about Stuttgart.
Oh,
I thought that was pretty cool because I haven't been back since I was a baby. So my parents moved back. My dad was actually my dad was kind of he just had this amazing work ethic. He became the youngest E7 or E6 in the military for a long season. So he was very motivated, a good leader. And when they moved back, he took a job as a police officer in Yellow Springs. And he did that for a few years. And my mom put herself through nursing school with 3 boys under the age of 7. So,
well, she needed nursing school with 3 boys under the age of 7.
I can tell you some stories.
I'm sure.
Anyway, so she put herself through nursing school. I remember her sleeping on the couch and trying not to wake her up, and my dad took a job with the state of Ohio after that as a wildlife officer. And we moved to Northridge in Clark County, and it was kind of like a coming home for them. And they wanted us to be in a community, a brick home community. It was literally like the Wonder Years when I was growing up. If you've ever seen the show, The Wonder Years, the original one. And we were just growing up in brick houses. You didn't lock your doors back then. Everybody's parents watched out for you. Our parents were school teachers, nurses. Most of my friends' parents worked at Navistar International Harvester. And so that was my upbringing. We played backyard sports. I thought everybody had that lifestyle. I thought, well, this is amazing.
Very white picket fence.
Yes, very, very much so. It was actually chain link fence in Northridge, the galvanized chain link. And we used to jump those fences, running, playing hide and go seek all night long. And it was really kind of a dream. Graduated from Kitten Ridge High School. Decided to go into law enforcement myself, wildlife law enforcement, got a degree became a wildlife officer, and quickly realized that I was made to be creative. So,
If there's one thing I know for sure, it's that you're made to be creative.
Yeah, and my dad knew. He kind of tried to talk me out of it. He's like, dude, like you should go to Nashville. You should try to write songs. You should do your thing. And my parents were always very encouraging of my music. Started playing music in high school. Was playing bars at the age of 15 with some older guys, and I was gigging 2 or 3 weekends a month as a junior and senior in high school. And so my dad really wanted me to go to Nashville and do it. And I was scared. I was a little immature. I was the youngest in my grade. So anyway, all that to say, going to law enforcement, quickly realized he was right, because when you're 21 years old, you think you're right and your parents aren't. But he was right. And so got married during that season. My wife's from Springfield. She went to Miami University and was kind of postgraduate, kind of trying to figure out where she wanted to go.
She graduated from North, right?
Yes.
So Springfield City. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Springfield City High School. So I graduated Kitten Ridge. She's at North. She went to Miami. She had a really cool class, Griffin House. Ben Poston, who writes for the LA Times. I mean, her class was just really unique. They all went out and did some really amazing things. Dr. Gabbard's son became like a leading proctologist in the country. And they were all just this cool friend group. And so she had a really unique experience. And we were very different. I don't know if you know that or not, but my wife's an economist.
I've only hung out with him and his wife once, and I can already say, yes, they're very different.
So, 3 years into being in law enforcement, I decided that it was time. We didn't have children. We sold our house. I put my badge on the chief of the Division of Wildlife's table, and I said, thank you. Appreciate everything. I'm going back to school. And we sold our house and moved to Murfreesboro, Tennessee, to go to Middle Tennessee State University. And it's the largest audio recording program in the country. And they have a video production element too, and a music element. And my wife ended up getting into the school as well to get her PhD. So it was like game on, studying all the time, working, but it was such a fun journey for us. I ended up graduating with a degree in recording industry, with a minor in video production, and became really good friends with he was my mentor then, my now really good friend, Nathan Adam, who was the assistant chair of that department. He was only 27. I was 25. Our wives became friends. He took me under his wing, and he got me to work on projects that had international distribution before I graduated college. And without him, I don't know where I'd be right now, because he really helped launch my career. He gave me opportunities. We worked on one called Multi-Platinum Pro Tools. It was bought by Sweetwater, or was distributed through Sweetwater Sound. Really cool stuff. We were working with like Grammy-winning producers, and I was like, this is really happening. This is really cool. So while my wife was finishing her PhD, I was like, well, it's time to join the industry. Well, the industry back then was the church world. Like, it was really hard to break into the recording labels because there were so many students trying to do it. But the production departments at these big churches, I mean, it's like a full-time production. It's like all of this and more. And that's really where I learned production. I had a great mentor at that church. And it's the kind of church that had like 7,000 people on a weekend.
Yeah, mega church.
Yeah, we had 120 staff. I mean, I was editing the show for the NBC affiliate in Nashville. We were doing live sound. I was thrown into production with award-winning producers, and the stress level was really high, but I learned a lot. That's where you kind of need that grind when you're starting out, especially in production. And so I learned a lot, made a lot of mistakes, and learned from them, hopefully. And, after my wife graduated with her PhD, she's like, I really want to be close to family again. And I'm thinking, I'm thinking Nashville, LA, or New York. That's it. That's where I want to be. That's where my skill set is. And what am I going to do? And I was starting to get invited to some cool sessions in Nashville to be a fly on the wall and run coffee. And that's kind of how you make your way in. But when award-winning producers are saying, hey, we want you to run coffee for us, it's just a matter of time. So
you're like, please don't take me to Springfield, Ohio.
Exactly. So, I was like, what? Springfield? Like, seriously? Like, I get it. It's family. But we had our firstborn, Burke, and it was just one of those times in life where we fought about it for a while. There was a lot of tension, and we just both reached this place of peace on the same morning, unbeknownst to each other. And she got a call from Urbana University that afternoon, and they flew her up, offered her a job on site, and that got us home to Springfield. And that was 15 years ago. And, Urbana is no longer, but
Urbana University. Yeah. Urbana in general is still there.
Urbana is still there. Urbana is beautiful. Have you seen what's going on downtown?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. We need to learn. We need to share notes with all these cool downtown revitalizations, and we're doing some awesome things they could learn from too. Yep. But anyway, so that got us home. We bought an old house on North Fountain Boulevard, which I used to drive by these houses as a kid thinking, oh man, that's, those places are incredible. Like, can you imagine ever living there? And, it was kind of at the bottom of the housing crash when we moved home. So it was perfect timing. And this house had not been updated in probably since the early 80s. Shag carpet.
You say green, a lot of green.
A lot of green shag carpet. A lot of wallpaper.
A lot of mirrors, right?
A lot of mirrors. Mirrors everywhere.
So many mirrors.
So mirrors kind of creep me out when they're that big everywhere.
Right, everywhere.
You're just walking around.
You don't want to see yourself from that many angles.
So for the last 15 years, we've been restoring that home. My dad taught me how to build when I was a kid. So I've done the bathroom, the kitchen, just finished the back porch. And my wife got hired at Wittenberg University, and she spent 12 years there. And about 2 months ago, she took a job with the College Board, which they write all the AP tests, and they also do the SATs. So she's now in charge of writing the macroeconomics test for about 100,000 people that will take that test. And so I built her a home office, and she's missing Wittenberg. She's missing her students a little bit, but it's just part of our journey, And after I came back to Springfield, I worked in church world for about 10 years.
I want to just take a second to talk about, you had mentioned that, coming back to Springfield, you had mixed feelings about it.
I did.
Right? But you also had memories of your parents doing a lot of great things while they were here, right?
Yes. So my parents taught us how to be generous. I remember when I was a kid, we didn't have a lot of money. My mom was a nurse. My dad was in law enforcement. But they were hard workers, and they saved well. They're very frugal. But
sounds like your dad was pretty handy, so that helps.
He was. He would always finish our houses, our basements in the house. So you buy a Northridge house that has the brick basement, and he would finish it out, and then we'd move to another one. And but I remember some of my youngest memories. My dad was the Clark County wildlife officer, and I remember him bringing homeless people home for breakfast. He'd be out all night working, checking, hunters or fishing licenses, stuff like that. More than once brought homeless people home to have a meal with our family and give them whatever little money he had to get them on their way. And then I remember them packing out their truck. We had a pickup truck packing out with groceries more than once to help with local food pantries. And it was not like we had a lot of extra money. And so I just remember how it was very significant to me. It was like, and then watching them grow through their lives, they never went without. And my mom and dad went on to be involved in the local foster care system. So I started having foster care siblings when I was in high school, maybe, and our middle school. And then my parents ended up adopting out of the foster care system. So I have a younger sister and brother that were adopted out of that system. And mom went on to help Angela Boblet start Choosing Hope Adoptions, which is a really great story in itself. You can check them out. But so I don't know. I grew up in this family where my parents were both super adventurous. Like, we always were in the outdoors. We were always, outdoors vacations back then were cheap. That's what we could afford. So we were in tents and aluminum boats fishing and getting dirty.
That's miserable to me.
Oh, I loved it. But anyway, so I just kind of grew up under this. My parents taught us how to be generous. And I learned more about that when I was in ministry. And there's so many generous people that I got to meet. yeah, so I think that having parents like that help my siblings and I like go, we're called to a higher purpose. You know what I mean? Like we've been given a lot. It's time to give back where we can or to serve where we can. Very servant minded parents. And so, yeah, it just gets in your DNA and you want to help where you can.
So you relocated back here with your eyes wide open, knowing that there's a lot of opportunity here because your parents both did okay for themselves, built a life for their families.
Yeah.
And did a lot of good in the community. And that's what you and Rachel have done.
I was worried, though. I mean, when I was growing up, you didn't come downtown Springfield for anything. You didn't. I don't even remember, other than coming down here for church, there was just nothing going on. Even when we moved home 15 years ago, if you were to walk around the town or the city hall, the square, everything was darked out. Seasons Restaurant was open. That was awesome, but there wasn't a lot more going on. There was a few bars on their way out. That maybe should have closed a few years before that. And there was a lot of empty lots and a lot of empty buildings. And over the last 15 years, through efforts with our chamber and the Turner Foundation and just all the different organizations, entrepreneurs that are putting their money where their mouth is, starting businesses, moving downtown, the parking garage initiatives. I feel like the city and the chamber are working together well, and we've gotten to see that. We've gotten to be a part of it. And I think that's why I mourned so much a few months ago when all the crazy media came here, because I have seen behind the scenes both sides of our tracks. And we have a city that's traditional north and south side, and that goes back. We can talk about that later. But there's just people on both sectors doing amazing things.
Yep.
And so that was like a gut punch to me. And I'm glad that you contacted me about, let's do some good again. Let's do what we can.
For sure. And there was more in the last 5 years that led you to these moments, right?
Yeah. So coming out of ministry, I was in ministry, paid ministry for 13 years as a producer and music guy. I started having some, what you might call cognitive dissonance, about the systems and, just kind of getting in my head too much about, all of that stuff. And so I knew that I was at the point where I wanted to give entrepreneurship a try. And so I jumped into that world of entrepreneurship. I left a secure job in January of 2020 to jump into entrepreneurship. And you know what happened?
This is one of the parallels in our story.
Yes. Yes. So, the pandemic hit and I was super nervous, but the company I was a part of then, I was a partner. We did pretty well through that. A lot of people had facilities. We did facility audio, video, lighting installs and design. And a lot of the facilities were empty, and they also had been saving for these projects. So it was time to do them.
People were desperate for entertainment.
Yes. And the live streaming world really took off.
Absolutely.
And so, we were able to I was able to build the video studio at the city. We were able to help them with their LED walls in there and that kind of space. But it was kind of odd for me because around that same time, when I talk about the cognitive dissonance, I took a class called Our Beloved Community with Rick M. Cravati. And it was about, just the history of race relations in Springfield.
Was that at Wittenberg?
Yes, it was at Wittenberg. Well, it was downtown. It was actually, part of it was in the Met.
Okay.
Where you're at now.
Okay.
And part of it was, they had it like 3 or 4 different locations. And it was just kind of a history. They'd have speakers come in and talk about the history. Really interesting speakers, really well read on the history of Springfield. And I started mourning in my heart because I realized not everybody grew up in the Wonder Years.
Right.
And there was reasons for that. And I did nothing to have that experience. That was just something I was born into,
right.
And there was a lot of people in our community that grew up without some of those privileges or opportunities. And it's not just growing up in a family on the north side. It was like you have a network, you have a network of business people that are on boards. And so we had family in every industry, and there's just a lot of folks, a lot of my friends now that I've made over the last 5 years that didn't have that experience at all. And I knew a little bit about it through the foster care system. But it was just kind of easier to have my head in the sand and not think too much about it, out of sight, out of mind. And then when I started getting involved in downtown revitalization, I started realizing like there's a lot of people in our community that are hurting. And there's a lot of generational poverty issues that come from a lot of different reasons. And I don't know, I was just kind of heartbroken that I didn't hear these stories growing up. And I think the temptation now is like, well, let's move forward. Let's move forward with those conversations. Let's not go back. Because going back, and you're seeing at a national level, and we won't go there, but some of these painful stories that need addressing, we don't know how to fix. So some people are saying, let's just go forward. Well, that really disenfranchises the whole history of a people that have been struggling for maybe generations through generations for a lot of different reasons. So I was just learning. I just decided I'm not going to be the answer by any means because I don't have the answers. But just learning and meeting new people and hearing their stories and seeing people that have struggled in ways that I didn't, struggled even as entrepreneurs in ways that I haven't had to struggle was really interesting. And it was kind of heartbreaking, but also kind of like, okay, I'm not going to live in shame because I did nothing to be born in the family I was born into. I want to be a part of the solution. But I also want to acknowledge, like I can't move forward without acknowledging this is a lot of people's reality in our city.
Right.
And so then you start meeting people like you and people like Dorian Hunter and people like, just go down the list that are doing, trying to move the narrative along and trying to bring healing to some of these conversations. And I found it's harder than I thought. And I don't have the answer still, but I want to be part of the good. I want to be part of there's so many stories of hope here in our town, and the media just only tells the bad ones usually. Hope
and humanity. Yeah. So what are you most excited about as we move forward?
I'm most excited about this podcast. I'm really excited about working with you and Ted. Ted Dryden is our producer. And because I realized over the last 5 years of entrepreneurship, I need to be on a team. And that's why I just joined Big Fish Local, a marketing firm in town here. And it's my third week. And so I left 5 years of entrepreneurship, joined Seth at Big Fish Local, and we're having a blast. I'm learning a ton. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I needed this the whole time I was running my other business.
When he joined Big Fish, I was like, that doesn't mean you're not going to do Springfield USA. Right?
No.
So we're making it work.
Yeah, I'm really excited. It's a Saturday morning right now, so we're going to have to do a lot of Saturday morning filming. But I think there's a lot of people excited about it. What I'm most excited about going forward is obviously the stories of hope. I want to focus more on some of the music that's here. We have a deep history in music. It goes back to Johnny Lytle and all these guys, and of course John Legend and Griffin House, and you can start to see. And there's some country artists right out there right now that are from the area that are making inroads. There's so many talented musicians here, and there's so many talented songwriters here. Patrick Dawson is one of the best songwriters I've met, and I studied songwriting in school, and he just knows how to write a song. And these are people that are working full-time jobs, trying to entertain their friends and family through a local band. So I'm really interested in telling more of those stories. Daniel Dye, we recorded a whole episode with Daniel Dye and the Miller Road Band. Again, it's been sitting on hard drives. We're going to start hopefully getting that out more. And so I want to do some songwriters in the rounds where maybe we have a hip hop guy next to a country guy, and we talk about the process of music and how they got to where they're at, because that's really where my heart gets most lit up. But I'm also excited about the stories of entrepreneurship And I hope you get to, well, probably
And
assign
I'm
you.
excited to meet new people that you guys
Yes.
talk to us about. Like, we know that we don't know everyone. Actually, we didn't even know each other until six
That's
months
right.
ago.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, and we really feel like we met each other at a great time in our lives. So we're really looking forward to you guys telling us who out there has an amazing story that needs to be
Absolutely.
told.
So I went to Clark State's Martin Luther King Jr. celebration last week, and I realized I want to know all these people because there's a lot of people in the community I still haven't met. And
Yes.
you think I've been around for 15 years now. I should know. Man, there's so many people I meet.
Yep.
And, I'm also excited about like bringing on some of the hosts that have brought some of the festivals here. Todd from the Springfield Jazz Symphony Orchestra.
We love Todd.
Yeah. And
He's a great interview.
Lincoln Center for Jazz. I mean, the Jazz and Blues Festival to me is probably the most naturally unifying event that I've ever seen in this
I would
community.
agree with that.
Young or old. And so there's so many stories,
That and Culture Fest.
Culture Fest, the Summer Arts Festivals, amazing.
Legendary.
We have the Indie Rock Fest. And I mean, there's so many talent. I saw the top 3 bluegrass players in the world one night on a Thursday at Mother Stewart's. I mean, they were literally certified, the top 3 guys. They were just passing through.
Yeah.
Because people are starting to put Springfield on the map. Samara Joy came and headlined our first Jazz and Blues Festival, won the Grammy for Best New Artist that year and the Best New Album over every genre.
Yeah, I don't think most people have any clue how much talent is here and has passed through here. And
That's right.
we're very excited to both be hype people for all of that
Absolutely.
wonderful talent.
Absolutely. And to try to navigate these conversations in a responsible way.
Yep.
Where
We're not always going to do it right.
Yeah, we're going to make some mistakes. But so talking about music, do you mind if I share like a verse maybe of a song?
Yeah, we had to pry the guitar out of his hand to get him to get behind the
I
mic
usually-
at all.
It's like my safety blanket.
Yeah. So, yes,
As my
absolutely.
hairline recedes, I need some more more distraction for our viewers. So this is a song I wrote about this very thing. I met somebody probably 7-8 years ago who's come through Springfield, and they had only known the negative news, and they came in with all the answers. They thought they knew all the answers. And what I've found over the last 5 to 7 years is these answers are way more nuanced than somebody coming in with money.
Right.
Or a good idea. Now, we need those people.
Yep.
We need investors. We need people with good ideas. But what I've learned, too, is like we're standing on the backs, on the shoulders of people that have moved this narrative along, and we need to be a part of the solution, not the solution. So this song was kind of about that. It's called Fighting Wars. So let's see if I can sing this early.
It's 1:30 p.m., people.
It's 1:30 p.m. I'm usually not up by now. Oh, you think you know this town, but you're just passing through. 'Cause all you really know is a tragedy that sells the news. Stories of hope you have never seen. Oh, you think you know this town, but you don't know a thing. 'Cause you're just starting wars that started long before you were in the fight. You were in the fight. I thought I knew that place, but I was passing through. Saw money being changed to prostitute the good news. Oh, the city was built on a million broken dreams. Oh, I thought I knew that place, but I didn't know a thing. I was running into wars that started long before I was in the fight. I was in the fight. We think we know the times, but we're just passing through. We cut the burlap off the trees. Oh, we try to set our roots. But loving always hurts when death is on the scene. Oh, we think we know the times, but we don't know a thing. So let's stop fighting wars that ended long before we were in the fight. We were in the fight. Let's stop running into wars that ended long before we were in the fight. We were in the fight. Oh, you're one of those cool people.
Felt like it would be really loud.
That's kind of my heart.
The mic.
First verse is about Springfield. Second verse is about my time in Nashville.
You guys are going to have to tell him to release it on Spotify.
Nah. Third verse is about, everybody thinks we know when the end times are coming or what's going on in the world. And honestly, I don't think we know any more than we did 2,000 years ago sometimes. So we just got to love the people in front of us and remember that we're all human. Yep. So thanks for being a part of this episode. Hopefully it wasn't too narcissistic. I just wanted to share my journey. And if you have ideas of people that have incredible stories to tell, and you know what? Sometimes the incredible stories are the small ones that no one ever hears about, or you might not think are a big deal. There's a lot of people doing good in this community very quietly. We kind of want to honor them. We kind of want to...
we want to amplify those.
Amplify the good.
Goods.
Yeah. Amplify the good. So do you have anything else? Are we good?
I don't. I'm hoping to keep this episode going though, because the next one I'll be a little sweatier during.
Well, that's right, because I get to interview you on the next episode about your journey, and I'm looking forward to that. So tune in. Thanks for joining us on Live from Springfield, USA's podcast. We'll see you on the next episode.